Hi everyone, I hope you had a good weekend. I want to apologize beforehand because I am fighting off a sickness, so I hope I don't sound too terrible going through this video. The first question for you guys is, what does fitness mean in evolutionary terms? And when it comes to crickets, what does fitness mean? So for evolutionary, I basically think I could sum it up as like, the more you reproduce, the more successful it'll be. Like, it's how you contribute to your offspring in the next generation and the ability to survive long enough to create that offspring. Like, clearly the calling cricket did not. So it's basically just like reproductive success, I would say. For crickets, however, I think it would be to mate successfully and survive, and the ones who mate, have the higher fitness level per se. If you don't get eaten, obviously you can't reproduce successfully, so they're not in the fitness category anymore. The second question is calling good or bad for a cricket's fitness, and contrast the reasons why it is selectively good versus the reasons why it is selectively bad. So the good for the crickets obviously is we hear them all the time, and it helps them attract mates, which is how they reproduce. And if you don't call, generally no mates will come. But in the matter of the sneaky cricket, he was the successful one, and the cricket that was calling ended up getting eaten by another animal. So that would be the bad, it will attract other animals to come and eat you. The third question is, describe 3 different examples in this cricket story of selection at work in eliminating traits in crickets that did not enhance their survivability. So my first example would be the sneaky cricket succeeded at taking the mate of the calling cricket. So obviously that calling cricket did not succeed. Another example would be the calling cricket who actually got eaten. So that definitely did not enhance his survivability because he died and didn't get to reproduce. And my third example would mostly be how it explained by not calling, more crickets think they cannot call and others will do that, but eventually they'll all stop calling, which I don't think would actually happen in real life. But in the story, in the comic, if they all stopped calling, the mates would, there would be no predators to come and find them because they couldn't hear them. But that would also be no mates would be attracted, and the reproduction rate would go way down. The fourth question is, ultimately you would say that the natural selection occurring in this story is stabilizing, directional, or disruptive. Review examples in the text and thinking about your justification for this answer. So let me grab my notes real quick. I think for this one that I would pick directional selection because, like it explained in the comic strip, the sneaky cricket would, most likely pass on the alleles to have sneaky kids, and then it would continue with not calling and that whole kind of stealing the mate type thing. So that's why I believe it is the directional selection. And the fifth and final question is, in what specific way is the actual environment itself influencing cricket calling? So this was probably the question I had the hardest with, which I don't know if anyone else did, probably not. But, the environment affects the crickets, I think, mostly in the way that by them calling, yeah, they're getting a mate, but they're also attracting danger and predators that could eat them. So the not calling cricket, the one who wasn't doing anything, was able to reproduce without the chance of being eaten and without attracting those other animals that are a threat to them. And so environmentally, they have to watch out for that, and that's something you got to be careful with. you.